Hey guys and girls, how's it going? Hope you guys are having a great week. Happy New Year, everybody. So we are here today to do our end of year review. We do this every year, and today I've got a Fish with me and a Dante with me. Thank you very much for joining, guys.
Hello.
And in today's video, we're going to talk about some of the best games that we played in 2022. We've each picked 2 games, and we have a couple of honorable mentions, which we're going to mention at the end. So let's not even beat around the bush. So this is totally ad-libbed. It's not scripted, so this should be a fun discussion.
Skip to the end.
Skip to the end. So let's jump in. Fish, do you want to kick us off? What was one of the best games that you played last year?
The best game I played last year, I'm cheating straight off the bat and doing a 2-for-1 because they were both very similar, but both for completely different reasons. And that is Death's Door and Tunic. Both of them are that nice little top-down isometric adventure-style game. Death's Door tells the story of a crow which is working for the death industry, and things have gone a little bit to pot. Nothing's happening as it should, and it's your job to help reap souls of people who specifically don't want to die. So they're clinging on to life, and it's your job to sort out those problems.
Sort out with fists, yes.
Yeah, to sort out with a big
with
sword.
a big sword and the ranged attacks.
Tunic, on the other hand, is effectively almost Legend of Zelda-like, but is not to be taken lightly. It looks really, really cutesy, and the first thing that took me by surprise is I was imagining it would be quite a pleasant, jaunty, not too stressful game. And immediately when I came to the first area with something that could pack a punch, I was like, holy hell, this is about as dangerous as Dark Souls. And it took me by surprise because I wasn't expecting it from its style. I'd say both of them have an absolutely amazing world. Both of them have lots to explore, tons of character. The key difference of which I would say between the two of them, Death's Door has scripted characters, there's a lot of written dialogue, and it really helps bring that world to life. Tunic, on the other hand, is all done its storytelling through inference. A large part of the game is puzzle-like, similar to anyone who's played Fez will know that there'll be hints and tips saying, oh, this is kind of what you've got to do, but it won't be in your face. One of the main parts of the game in Tunic is as you're covering the land, as you're discovering the land, you'll find what look like instruction booklets from the old Game Boy games that you used to when they came with a physical instruction booklet. And in the pages of that, there will be little keys and symbols which show you, all right, this is maybe something you've got to do, and it'll help unlock puzzles through the game. So you've really got, without saying words, an expansion of the story. Both of them, if you like your action, have great amount of gameplay for dodging, combat, rolling. The controls are tight. Both of them have absolutely gorgeous, unique style. I fell in love with all the characters and all of their designs, and both of them, story-wise, told an absolutely amazing story. One through moments specifically in Death's Door, I was laughing out loud, and Tunic just got me really invested by pulling on those threads of discovery.
Yeah, I've played some of Death's Door. I've got it on the Switch. I got up to the bit with the witch, and I haven't played past that, but I did enjoy it, and it was really good. And I bought Tunic recently in the winter sale on Steam, so I've got it installed on my Steam Deck. I just haven't had a chance to play it. But it's one of the games I wanted to play because it looked really good, and I think it got nominated for Best Indie Game. I feel it. Did it win Tunic? No, I don't think it did.
Know.
Stray won, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a better game than Stray. Stray wasn't bad. It was just too short for me.
Yeah, I couldn't mention Tunic or Death's Door because without mentioning the other, both of them for me were on a par. They were absolutely astounding games.
Are they quite big games or quite short?
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, one took me about 19 hours to complete 100%.
Okay. All right.
The other one roughly about the same time. So
Okay, so they're good chunky games then to get stuck in. I think they're both on Game Pass as well, I think, from what I remember, which is great. So if you've got Game Pass, you can definitely pick that up and check it out.
Yeah, I've downloaded Tunic, but I've not got around to playing it either.
Yeah, there've been some amazing indie games. Honestly, I think some of the indie developers are doing a better job than the AAA developers at the moment, in terms of the quality of games that they're providing. And I think 2022 was included. 2020, 21 and 2022 have both been standout years for indie games, and I imagine 2023 is going to be just as good. Which is great. Great picks, Fish. Very good picks. So Dante, what's one of your best games you played this year?
Oh, it's everyone's best game. Not everyone's. Elden Ring was my first Soulsborne kind of styly game, so I don't know whether it's how the bar's set for this kind of game, but
very high, I think.
Yeah, it was damn pretty. Even though it's dark and dingy and horror filled, it just looked gorgeous. The open world was nailed just right. I got that same feeling of wonder and exploration like that I did in Breath of the Wild, except it was way more terrifying.
There's no cute Koroks in there, unfortunately.
No, not at all. Actually, very few cute things. I've still got to get back to it though, because I played many hours of it, but barely made a dent because I just kept getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
And trying to level up more to kill certain beasties. But it's not exactly a chill or fun game. Really got to be in the mood for it. So that's probably why I haven't gone back to it for a while.
Yeah.
Also, I've forgotten odd buttons now. I'll probably have to readjust.
You were playing as a samurai, right? You went for the samurai, which was with the katana and the bow and arrow. One thing I really enjoyed in Elden Ring is all the different classes and the different builds that you could do. Like, I went down the mage route. So I was very much like, I'm going to stay away from you and throw spells at you and hope you don't kill me. Whereas you had to get much closer. It's very different.
A lot of dodge rolling at the right time and waiting for openings to do like the proper samurai style.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the from the scabbard where you that's a kick-ass move. Yeah, I think just the open world design. I'm with you. I didn't put it on my list because I kind of knew you were going to talk about it. But it's a fabulous game. I think the really nice thing with the open world, it made it much more accessible to people. Like you were saying, if you get to a boss where you're like, this guy is just absolutely kicking my ass, I'm not going to fight you right now. I'm going to go away and I'm going to explore the world, get some better gear, kill some smaller mooks, level up, and then I'm going to come back and face you. So I think in that way it's a lot more beginner friendly to like non-Soulsborne type players. I know the hardcore get good people were like, whatever, I'll face him in nothing but my loincloth and a club or whatever, or that guy that took on Millennia, the let me solo her guy. That guy was a legend. But yeah, it's really good. The only downside with Elden Ring is the multiplayer. I think you and I would probably complete it if we played it together.
I'd love playing that in co-op, but
just the invasion mechanic.
It's full of griefers.
Yeah, it has this, when you play together, you can play online cooperatively, but neither of you can ride your steed, so you have to run around everywhere, and it's a big open world, so that's kind of annoying. But then you also have invaders, so people that will invade into your game, and basically they have to kill you. And if they kill you, I think, what do they get? Like some kind of reward or something? Do they even get that?
Yeah, they get something or other, but I don't think it's real. But it helps down one of the storylines.
Yeah, but if they kill you, then you have instances of multiplayer. So like when one of you dies, it ends that instance of, and then you have to reload back in together.
Very, very evocative of Sea of Thieves. I'd love Sea of Thieves if you play it PvE and not always PvP.
Yeah. So and like literally, like we were like, oh, for God's sake, we just want to play through and explore and level up together, and we just kept getting invaded. So I think that's the only thing. So I wish the multiplayer was better, but the single player experience is phenomenal, as is the art style and the armor pieces and the bosses. And yeah, I mean it's a great game. If you've never played a Souls game before, I think Elden Ring's probably one of the best ones to jump in on. I would say. But yeah, it's a good pick. Very, very good. I think you've put like 104 hours into it. To say that, yeah,
Oh,
I
God.
checked your Steam and it was like 104 hours in and you barely scratched it.
Yeah, that's me getting lost.
Like, what the hell?
and,
So
and going, oh, shiny.
Just trying to kill that bear.
Oh, shiny.
Yes.
Oh, shiny.
So it's very much a game that you could just lose your life to, and I think many people did do, which is probably why it's going to be in a lot of people's lists this year.
The moment I end up in a little mini dungeon, I'm like, well, I want 100% this dungeon, find every little nook and cranny and secret before moving to the next place.
I get it.
Dangerous.
It is a very good game, though. So probably my first pick for one of the best games I played this year is Neon White. So I'm going down the indie route as well for my first game. I was not expecting to enjoy this game as much as I did. So basically, it's like a speedrunner type game. I'm not really big into those, but you basically play as a neon. So you basically, what happens is there's this competition in a heaven, and it picks like sinners from hell that become neons, and they all have to wear masks, and they have to compete in this competition to kill the demons in heaven, and whoever is number one gets to stay, basically, and that's the basic premise of it. The story is fun, like the character, like the voice acting is pretty quirky. Like there's one of them that's basically Harley Quinn, like effective. Like she's just crazy, kooky, a little bit nuts, but kind of cute. And like there's just really there's like a bro guy. There's like like proper bro dude. There's a freaking bromance going on and stuff, and it's really Ryuji. There's like so there's definite like fun characters. But the gameplay is really what I wasn't expecting it. So it's basically like a speedrun, sort of like a platform shooter. So
it's a combination of everything. It's platforming, it's a puzzle game.
It's a puzzle game, it's a speedrunner game, it's
deck
a
builder.
deck builder and a card game. It's a first person shooter. Like it's such a mixture. Like you basically have to run through these levels, defeat all of the demons in the level, and try and get through it as quick as possible. You use certain cards for certain weapons, but if you discard a card, it gives you a particular power or ability, so to double jump or to dash or whatever.
It's a good example of one I know I'm the people who regularly complain that when you say about games, pick a lane and stay in it.
It doesn't
This
do
is
that.
This is the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
It hasn't picked a lane, and yet it's managed to make everything it's decided to pull into it work seamlessly.
Yeah. It's definitely cross-genre, and I think it's one of the things I really loved about it, was just like all the different elements in it just really work. And I'm not generally a speedrunner because Dante will know, I hate things that are timed. Like, they stress me out to high buggery. Anything where I've got, like, a timer or anything where I've got, like, pressure, I don't generally deal well with that. Like, he's completed whole sections of Assassin's Creed 2 because I couldn't get through those goddamn temples. But this is the exception. Like, I found myself, because the levels are so short to get through, and like you'll get your final time, and obviously you'll be aiming to get platinum, and then you can replay through the level to like get gifts and things and collectibles and
For the dating sim side.
yes, exactly. But I found myself just being like, I'm going to have another go at that one. I'm going to have another. I can do that better. I can do that better. I'm going to have another go. And it's a very addictive game. And it's just a game that you just get lost in. And it has a really good soundtrack as well. Like, it has such good music behind it, that you just get in the zone. It's such a good game. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. I think I have it on the Switch. I think it'd be a great game, portable handheld game. So I recommend it on the Switch, but I hear PC is very good too. But Neon White was one of the best games I played this year. I really loved it.
Beat your friends fast times.
Yeah, effectively, yeah. You're
Get the
competing.
scoreboards up, don't you?
Yeah, you can compete against your friends and stuff. So it's just awesome. I think it would be a really fun multiplayer. We could do a fun thing with it, like a competition, challenge each other and see who can get the best
Who can
scores.
race through it the fast, yeah.
I think it would be fun. It might be a fun series or a fun stream or something. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's really, really good.
We'll still play it on the Switch. We'll take screenshots of our fastest times, keep posting them to Twitter.
Yeah, I just record them.
Beating you, your turn.
Your turn. Passing the baton to you. Here you go. Have fun. It's really good though. I definitely recommend it. So that was mine. That was one of mine for this year. I had to talk about it because I feel it got overlooked a little this year. I felt like it deserved more attention and it deserved more love, which is why I wanted to talk about it. So, Fish, your next one?
My next one still will come as no surprise to all people. Me, Pokemon Arceus Legends. Despite its horrible frame rate, this game for me breathed a much needed breath of life into a franchise. It gave you a whole new perspective on the Pokemon in-game universe. Genuinely, with Pokemon in the wild area, not needing to battle them, just being able to throw a Pokeball and hope for the best, really helped. The fact that wild Pokemon would attack you as a trainer, not just your Pokemon, led to some very, very intense moments where you were having to run for your life. And I genuinely don't think I've ever felt as stressed out in a Pokemon game in my life as I have when some alpha Pokemon see you and you're trying to sneak away, or
the Elden
when
Ring
one
of
of them sees you and
Pokemon games.
It takes a look at you and decides that you're dinner. Really,
dodge roll button.
Yeah, it really did bring something completely new to the Pokemon franchise. I also, one of my big things, because it was a game that was set in the past of the Pokemon universe, in a time before people started to partner with Pokemon, it was interesting to be in a world where all the NPCs, where everything didn't revolve around them. Yes, in your story, they kind of did because, that was your purpose. You are going out to help research these things. But all the other NPCs in the village are like, what the hell are you doing? These are dangerous animals. Stay away from them. It's like, I don't want these things near me. Get them away. Nobody, there's not that really weird cult-like world that you get in the Pokemon main games where it's like, hey, look, this is a store, everything's geared to Pokemon. It's like, does anyone do anything in this world that isn't related to Pokemon? So it was really interesting to have that dynamic in the world that it built. So yes, it had some bugs, it had some problems, and those were mainly surrounding the frame rate. But everything else about that game, honestly, it was such a nice difference, and it made me fall in love with the franchise all over again.
Yeah, it is one of the, like, I'm not as big a Pokemon player obviously as you and Dante are. Obviously you guys grew up with it, right? So you have a definite love and history with the series, which I maybe don't have. But I will say that Pokemon Arceus is one of the Pokemon games that really has sparked my interest.
I think again, you are probably the targeted audience as well, because they've dialed back some of the things like Pokemon abilities, passive abilities aren't there anymore in Arceus Legends. So they've made the battle mechanics a bit simpler again. So the people who aren't used to years and years and years of all these tweaks and buildings on, they've scaled it back. So people who've again, like the people who played Pokemon Go and then they got them to buy a Switch by paying Let's Go. And then this is kind of the next step in that of introducing the basic turn-based battle mechanics, but without the abilities or the passives. It's almost that drip feeding to get more and more people into the franchise, which frankly, again, I think is only a fair thing. I know a lot of the diehard fans who've been into the franchise as long as Dante and I have, they love to kick and scream and go, oh God, you're making it so awful because you're removing all the good things. It's like, no, they're just making it accessible. And the more people that can get behind this franchise, the better. So I have no problem with it. I would much rather people play a game and have fun with it than, somebody play a game and, go, oh, it's got to be meta. One of the things that, in my opinion, ruins the franchise is the almost meta-like obsession to have, just the right team because everything's pipped perfectly. And no, just you go to an online tournament or you attend online tournaments, and it's like people have the same 6 teams of Pokemon. You've just got 6 different variations of a strategy, and it's just blind luck as to who you fight. So
yeah, that side of doesn't interest me at all. Catching them all That's what
Catch
I
them all
want to
is
do.
where
I
it's
just
at.
want to catch
It's-
them all. They're cute.
The
They're
tagline of
adorable.
the franchise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can do that happily in Arceus. So what's your second one, Dante?
I was just going to mention that Legends Arceus was one of my most played games on the Switch
Yeah,
for
it
the
was.
year.
Yeah.
'Cause
I'm
Nintendo
sure it's
did
going to
that
be
thing showing you.
overtaken by Scarlet, most likely. But yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think my next one, my other most played game was Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Which was definitely one for the fans if you played 1 and 2 before, which I did beforehand, and it was just so much sweeter for it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Everything, story, the voice acting, the amazing music, the layered upon layers of battle mechanics that they had. I don't know if it was because they played the first 2 or because they actually included some decent tutorials this time around. But despite how complicated it kind of seemed from the outside, once you were playing it, it was like, oh, this is genius. This is brilliant. And the class mixing and all this and that and the art mix, it was really cool. Yeah, I pretty much loved everything from it. On it, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Now that you've played through all 3, you can probably see where I'm coming from now. Why I hated Xenoblade X so much.
X, I completed X, but yeah.
You know what I mean, though. It was disappointing. You've got these other games in the franchise, solid stories and great worlds, and X was just a diluted single player made up with half-assed multiplayer. And when you've got games like Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3, bringing amazing story, amazing characters, amazing worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat and watched you play it. I didn't watch you play all of the side stuff, but I think by the time you finished it, it was like 130 hours, give or take. It's a
something like that.
beast of a game. So you
Flew
do
by.
need, you do need to have like the time to play it, but it's fabulous. And the characters, like, the writing.
You can't not fall in love with
Honestly,
those guys. Even some of the annoying ones just become like,
such a good
oh,
job.
you're awesome.
Yeah, they do such a good job of making all the characters feel very real and well developed, and they all have an arc, and the way that I know it's weird because it's not like live action, but the chemistry between the characters, because the writing is so good and the voice acting is so good, like it just you grow to love these characters, you grow to love the world, you're invested in the story and what's going to happen, and seriously, I frigging filled up at quite a few moments, and I was like, when I thought some people were gonna die, I'm like, no, no, don't you dare. So like,
the question is, do we have
writing.
anything that rivals Rhine time?
Rhine time.
Rhine time. Yeah, well, when they first started Chronicles 3, I'm like, dude, this guy's just a Rhine guy, and that guy's
Lance
just
is
a
Rhine.
Lance is Rhine, and like we were like absolutely literally going, well, that's that character and that's that character, but actually they're not. As you play through it, they become their own character, but they have moments of it, shall we say? Uni's best girl. I love Uni. She's hilarious.
Uni's the best.
Yeah, although Nia's still my favourite of all of them. Out of all 3.
Also, just loving the accents as well, because we're all
so good. Yeah, because of the English accents and the Welsh and the Scottish and the I think you appreciate it more being from the UK. I think you would appreciate it on a different level than if you were just from a different country. But if you're from a different country, you might need to put subtitles on. You might not understand some of the accents.
We definitely did for the enemy bosses, because they used some mad filter, didn't they? With the voices, and you could barely understand them. I'm like, what are you saying? I think you're threatening me. You're definitely threatening me.
You sound threatening. Yeah, it's really good though. Really, really good. I'm 100% with you on that one. That was one of the best games of this year for sure. It was really, really, really good. That was a great pick. I loved it. I'm not playing it again though. It's 130 hours.
Maybe leave it
a few years. Yeah, leave it a decade, like I did with Mass Effect, and then play it through again.
There's a season pass as well that has got to be.
I'm only interested in story season passes. That's what I'm into. Yeah. I'm curious to see how it's gonna continue. Well, it is a trilogy, but it ends sort of on a cliffhanger ish. Sort of. So I'm curious what's going to happen. So my final one then, probably to talk about, is A Plague Tale Requiem. It's not God of War. It's not Elden Ring, even those are very good, and every other channel will be talking about them, I'm sure. So I wanted to do something different. So mine is A Plague Tale Requiem.
Rat game.
Yes, rat game. It was incredible. I played it on Game Pass. I played the first one, A Plague Tale Innocence. Absolutely fell in love with it. It's an incredible game. It's A Plague Tale Innocence. I recommend playing that one first. And Requiem basically is, which you did, and because I was like, you must play it first. And Requiem is basically the sequel that follows on the story of Amicia Delarue and Hugo. It's set in France during the Black Death, but the sequel, let's just say the stakes are a lot bigger. It goes a bit crazy with this whole Rat King thing, and it just upped the ante in everything in the sequel. I really wasn't expecting the quality. Like the first game is great. It's got a great story, but it's a little bit janky in places with some of the game mechanics. It's very clear. It's like a double A. It's not quite as smooth as it could be, and I was expecting that sort of in the sequel. It sort of gives it like a sort of thing, you know, kind of thing.
Charm.
It gives it a charm, should we say? But the second one, like honestly, the quality, like the visual, the look of it, it's such a beautiful looking game. The set pieces, some of the set pieces are just insane. They're like lifted out of Uncharted. They're like Uncharted Naughty Dog levels of quality, you know. And it's a small team. It's a Sobo studio, so it's impressive that it's, you know, this level of polish. The story was amazing. I really enjoyed it. Actually, it's one of the few stories this year that really got to me. One of the biggest things that come out of 2022 probably for me is a lot of the stories that were told were a bit disappointing, like Horizon Forbidden West. It's okay. You know, but the two stories that really like touched me this year was probably Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and A Plague Tale Requiem, and it does a very good job of sort of finishing the storyline of Amicia and Hugo. And Amicia is dealing with her voice actress did just such an incredible job. Like, she's dealing with so much like post-traumatic stress, and she's kind of falling apart at the seams because she's become like a protector of Hugo, and she's having to like face off against, like, you know, the Inquisitors, like the obviously the English, and she does some questionable things to save Hugo. So she's a very flawed character, but they just do such a good job of showing that, you know, that loss of humanity as you know, she starts to unravel a little bit. And for me, just the way in which they told that, it's a very, very human, very intimate story. There's a lot of big stakes going on, but it does a very good job of developing the relationship between Hugo and Amicia. The supporting cast of characters was also very, very good, but then the gameplay was great. Like, it actually has some really good stealth. It's, if you like your stealth gameplay, I think you'll enjoy like A Plague Tale Requiem. Like, you have so many options in terms of stealthing. You can be all evil and put lights out and turn rats against enemies. You can even take control of the rats in the second one as Hugo, which is OP. You can just choose not to kill anyone and stealth through segments, but if you get spotted, you are dead. Like, it is a case of you're a young child. Like, and some of these enemies are very armored up. They do bring in new mechanics like the crossbow, which can be like an instant kill, but you have very limited ammo resources, and you have to collect resources to craft things. So in that way, it felt a little bit like Resident Evil, in that you would pick and choose which enemies to take out and which to sneak past. So it makes you think quite strategically, and like, you might try something, go, that didn't go well, let's try that something different. So that just became very, very, it just really pulls you in. So if you like that kind of thing, I think you'll really enjoy A Plague Tale Requiem. But it's an incredible game. Like, honestly, it's on Game Pass as well. And yeah, it's one of the best games. In fact, it's in my top 3. It's one of the best games I played this year. Fabulous. But play Innocence first, please.
Yes, yeah.
Play it
I can
first.
tell you'd kind of need to do the
You'll get a lot
first.
more. Yeah.
It's like watching the second half of a movie. Like what
Effectively, yeah, it is. It's not even like a sequel. It is a sequel, but it's like a continuation.
Of the
story. So it's great. It's fabulous, and
maybe
that's
once
why
I
it's on my
complete
list.
Guardians of the Galaxy, I might actually get around to it.
Maybe. So obviously those are our top picks. Does anybody have any honourable mentions that they want to talk about? Anything that didn't make your list, but you did really enjoy it? Want to talk about it?
I'd say honourable mentions for me are, again, both very similar to my other two games. They share a theme, which is they are the multiplayer quick jump in and out.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that is Plate Up, which I've thoroughly got addicted to. Just you and your friends run a restaurant. What's the other one? Overcooked. It's like Overcooked, but in my opinion, better because it's not
got more to it.
It's not as hectic, but it is more methodical.
Yeah.
It's less chaotic, but it's still stressful.
It can test a friendship.
Yeah.
It's like, Dante, why are you not cleaning up those tables? Take that
Clean
order!
the tables, damn it! Pick up the plates! Nobody's got anywhere to sit! We need new customers!
Yeah, exactly. It's really, really good.
There's too many people outside! Oh, God! The kitchen's on fire! Ah! Yeah,
it's a great game.
Plate Up is absolutely hectic, and with up to 4 people who can run a kitchen, that makes it absolutely crazy. And in a similar note, sneaking in at the end of the year is Ship of Fools. Ship of Fools, we've dabbled in that so far, and it's a fun little roguelite. I think Watch This Space, as Dante and I will be
That's something we're going to be bringing in
streaming in the future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be good.
And nothing else I can think of.
Okay.
I haven't played it yet, but I did buy Moss Book 2 recently.
Oh, nice.
Having bought that is part of this year. Haven't played it yet. Well, I say this year. We're in 2023 now. 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I got 3.
Okay.
Bayonetta 3.
Yep.
Also, definitely another game where it's like for fans of the previous 2. You do yourself a disservice if you haven't played the first 2.
Yeah,
very
definitely.
stylish.
Yeah.
Very a complete giggle over all this over the top silliness.
So funny.
Mixing up of game genres now and then. You got like bits of shoot 'em ups, bits of like stealth sections and that, and then the badass fighting mechanics where you kind of look amazing even if you're just mashing the buttons after. Because like Devil May Cry, it's like, oh, I've got to do what combos? You got to keep going back to the instructions and all this.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jennifer Hale doing a good job over taking the voice acting there as well, and it was all just funny. It was daft. It was great.
It knows what it is. That's what I like.
Yeah.
It revels in what it is, and that's why it's really fun. I love it when games do that.
It's like, was the sexy pose necessary? That yes.
Yes, it was.
Because we know what we are.
Exactly.
We're just gonna be silly.
There's just so many, and
games,
even as a girl, and I'm very much about women's rights and girl power and stuff. I fucking loved it. I was
so
like,
funny.
I loved it. I'm like Bayonetta just owning like her sexiness and knowing that she's a badass and just owning it. I'm all for that. It was awesome. It did a very good job. All the characters are great. Even like the demon guy. What's his name? Ronan.
Oh, Ronan.
Ronan.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Rodan.
Rodan. That's it. Rodan.
I don't know why I keep calling him.
Like at the beginning. It's just funny. It's just funny.
He's been pretty staple for the other games.
Yeah.
The other one, Sparks of Hopes, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle 2 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Greatly improved mechanics over what was already like a great tactics kind of game. It was just freaking adorable and funny, and it's like more of the Mario universe, and we're taking the piss out of it with Rabbids. But they just do it so well. I don't know why it works so good. It's like
Rabbit
Mario
Rabbit
Maker, I don't know
Rosalina.
this.
The best.
It's the same reason why the Paper Mario game, because they're aware of, as we've just said about Bayonetta, it knows what it is, and it doesn't try to be anything different. It's one of these games. It's taking the piss out of itself. It knows it's just here to have fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it just runs with it, and it does it well.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for people not trying to be more than they are.
Yeah. Or trying to be everything.
Yeah,
like
or
a
trying
lot
to
of
be
games
everything.
are at the moment.
And yeah, it's just backed up by a completely different game style. You wouldn't expect the Mario characters to be running around with guns or like bazookas.
I know,
and
but
stuff.
freaking Luigi, man, is a badass.
Oh, the sniper.
He's a sniper. He's like...
Nobody underestimate Luigi.
Don't underestimate Luigi in this game because he will
Steely
wreck your
stare.
life. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. It's so good. But I love Rabbit Rosalina. She's probably my favourite.
Oh yeah, Rabbit Rosalina stole
Some
the
of
show.
the animations are just incredible. Yeah, like a grumpy, like a teenager. She's just great. She's fabulous. Yes, good pick.
And of course, the other main thing I've just been love playing it with you guys just a day or two ago as well. Splatoon 3. Love the multiplayer on that. The artwork style, the music, just it's fun. I can't get enough of it. I could happily play that one like once a day just to get like a game or two in. It's just one of those I like. It's such good fun. Yep. And it does get a bit challenging at sometimes depending who you're against, but there's so many just tactics. Let's swimming through the ink with bouncing off everywhere, splatting the crap out of each other. It's great stuff. I love it.
It's very, very good. I'm not going to talk any honourable mentions because I've played a lot of games this year and I will be doing my own top 10, so even then it's been hard to narrow it down, so I won't add anything into this because this is mostly an opportunity for you guys to share what's in your list, because I'll be doing my own thing separately. The last thing I would like to finish with though is looking ahead into 2023 and maybe picking a game that you're looking forward to and maybe are excited for. It doesn't have to be hype, but something that you're looking forward to in 2023. One game that you're hoping to pick up and hoping is going to be amazing. So, Fish, your pick for 2023?
It's Nintendo, so assuming it actually comes out next year, because there is no date for it. But I am under the impression that next year we are going to be getting a Pikmin 4. As somebody who absolutely adores the Pikmin franchise and thinks that it is still to this day one of Nintendo's sleeper hits and never gets the love that it deserves. I don't even want to speculate on what could be in that game. Pikmin 1 had all the time pressure of you need to recover your ship pieces in X number of days, that's it. So it was a game that gave you a lot of pressure, plenty of replay value, but you were rushed. You didn't really have the time to appreciate the surroundings. Pikmin 2 improved on that by still having the amount of time during a day, so you still had to get back to your ship and you could only spend so long, but there weren't a limited number of days, so you could go back to a level and take your time exploring and don't only do a little bit each day but still spend that time finding all the fine points of it all. Pikmin 3, I know it's a bit of a black sheep of the family. A lot of people don't like it, but for me it straddled the line between 1 and 2 perfectly. It gave you time. There was a pressure because your time in each day and the number of days you could spend were driven by how much food reserves you had left. So you could spend time going out finding loads of food to build up your rations, which meant that after you'd done that you could spend more time casually looking around as long as you were keeping an eye on your food reserves. So it struck that balance of, yes, there was a pressure to get on with a job, but it wasn't so rushed that you couldn't appreciate the environment. So wherever Pikmin 4's going, I don't know, but I'm hopeful that it'll be another good introduction to the franchise.
I feel like for many people it might be their first Pikmin game. Like, I don't know much about Pikmin. I've seen you play a bit, but I don't know much about it. But I know it is very much a niche game, and a lot of people do really love it and has a very passionate fan base. And I know the fans have been waiting a very long time for it.
Sufficiently.
So I know it'll be on a lot of people's lists, probably. I know Arlo is ridiculously excited for Pikmin 4, I think, from his video recently. I might pick it up. I might just wait and watch you play it, Fish, and then be like, let me know how it is or whatever.
It may be a difficult one. I think when Pikmin 3 first came out, I played that and I completed it in a sitting.
You know what would be really cool? Co-op in Pikmin 4.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I could go behind that.
If they do co-op, I would be game for playing it, maybe with you. Or for Dante can play it with you or whatever. But yeah. Cool. Dante?
More Nintendo.
Noticing a pattern.
I don't know. I'm lately not super hyped for most releases these days. I think it's just the whole hype train concern these days, where it's like, oh, and then you get to the game and it's not. It's a bit disappointing or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I suppose one that's mainly on my radar is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda: More Goodness.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. Is it Tears or Tears?
Tears. I think Tears.
Oh, was that just the meme?
The English language at its best.
Yeah, I think Tears.
Because it looks like stuff's gonna go down there. But we've been shown so little so far, and there was always concern because the original game was awesome, but you could tell it had little bits of limitations here, not that many enemy variations. But they delayed it for so many years because they wanted to make sure it didn't come out into a buggy mess.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's why they're delaying it again now here. And also there's a concern because it was the first open world, like proper open world Zelda. So when you're doing a sequel to it, they normally just, reboot. It's another 1,000 years past and you've got the next reincarnations of Link and Zelda and Ganon. But this time it's a straight sequel to an open world game. It's like, how are you going to pull this off? Are you going to be using different maps? Are we going to be getting sent to a subworld? What? And so there's lots of concern.
It looks like there's a world above, from what it seems in the trailers.
Yeah, we've got
like
floating
Skyward
islands and all
Sword,
that.
sort of. Yeah.
And I think this is where my concern runs into it, is because of you've got the world above the land, but if the land that you've already been in is playable, and how much can you realistically fit in the sky? It's like, is there going to be a lot of new things in this game? Is where my anticipation comes in. I'd like to say I'm excited for it, but I'm also a little bit apprehensive that there might not be that much in this game. But we can see.
Yeah, I mean, I like these versions of Link and Zelda. And after playing Age of Calamity, the Warriors game, that really made me fall in love with the world even more. But particularly like the heroes, but obviously they won't be in it. Obviously, well, I wouldn't think they would unless I can't see it happening. But you've got the beasts and everything. I'm curious, and I don't even. It seems to imply that the Ganon that we had in Breath of the Wild wasn't Ganon per
Quite, just
se.
pretty much a shadow or
of malice of Ganon. So it'll be intriguing to see if actually the actual, like, maybe he's been sealed away and that seal's been gradually break. I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued. And I was a bit disappointed with how they told the story in Breath of the Wild. The world exploration, the gameplay was fabulous, but I feel like the story, they dropped the ball on it a little. So I am all for them doing a better job with expanding that world and the story. But yeah, like you, I'm also cautious with it, but I feel that the team behind it is a good team, that they're going to make sure they
do it well.
Yeah, I mean, and they've got a lot to live up to with Breath of the Wild. I feel it's almost an impossible job. I feel it is almost an impossible job. I feel it will let some people down. And I feel that people just have to go into it with realistic expectations. This is not going to be the second coming of The Legend of Zelda. And I think some people have ridiculously too high expectations that they're inevitably going to get disappointed. So I feel that, go into it. Just, it's more of the world that we know, and I'm all for that, because the world that we got to experience Breath of the Wild was amazing. So,
and it looks like
intrigued.
they've got, hopefully, it looks like they've got a good story to tell, but also from what we're seeing, they've got some really complicated looking mechanics for some of the new abilities, and it's like, I could see them being buggy to hell if you don't get them right.
And the arm is very Twilight Princess, like
there's a bit of that.
I'm very intrigued. Multiverse.
We know that the
multiverse. That's the next thing.
World.
That's the next thing for Zelda. The multiverse. That is the in thing right now. Everyone's doing it.
It's the ultimate. The split timelines.
Everyone's doing it. Oh my god, that would be amazing. Like all the different Zeldas and Links from all the different worlds.
I'm surprised they didn't do that in Hyrule Warriors. Like, well, they did. They got a Toon Link alongside him at one point with DLC.
I know. So I'll draw it with my most anticipated game of 2023. Mine is Hogwarts Legacy. I am more excited about this now than I was. So if you'd asked me 12 months ago, this wouldn't have been on my list. But the developers recently have showed a lot more of the actual gameplay and exploring, and it looks amazing. Like it just looks like what I've always wanted, which is like an amazing RPG set in the Hogwarts, like, you know, Harry Potter universe, even though it's set pre Harry Potter. Like it's completely separate, you know. I think it's 19th century is what we're set in, you know, so it's even before Dumbledore, I think, and before his time and everything. But it looks amazing, like the ability to role play, you know, being able to explore the different Hogwarts and all the different areas and all its secrets, and being able to see like the Hufflepuff common room and all the spells. I love that world. So, and I love the books and I love the movies, and you can say what you like about J.K. Rowling, and I fucking do not like her, and I get it, completely get it, and she's a horrible, horrible person. But the world, the books, I love that world, and the team behind it just seem incredibly just passionate about it. You can just see it come out of them, and the excitement. They're like giddy kids, like I would be if I'd been working on that kind of project. So it looks great. It looks really, really good, and it looks quite faithful to the source material, which makes me happy. Just all the little details, like, and they're only details that you would see if you are a hardcore, like, world of Harry Potter nut. So like I'm looking at this video, I'm like, oh my god, that's that, and that's that, and that's amazing. So I'm really excited to play it, and I'm hoping it will live up to my I'm not trying not to get too excited, because then I will just disappoint myself. But I am very excited, and I'm curious how the houses are going to get chosen. You know, I'm looking forward to creating my own character in that world. How am I going to go down and start going down the dark path and using
Sith Lord?
Yes, the forbidden curses. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to roleplay it. We're going to see, but I'm excited at the ability to be able to do that.
Was it confirmed single player only?
Yes, I think so. I think it's only single.
Shame.
I'm not sure, but at the moment, I think it's such a big world. Let's not put any more pressure on the developers by requesting multiplayer. I don't think it's got multiplayer at the moment. I think it's only a single player experience from what I've seen.
Oh, it was Portkey, wasn't it? The guys that did
Portkey.
Mobile games.
Yeah, which makes me a little. When I first heard that it was like that developer, I'm like, really? Like, so I was thinking it was just going to be like this cheap mobile port with unnecessary amount of microtransactions and money making, and that's what the cynicist in me thought. But then as we've actually seen the gameplay and actually seen the world and the voice acting and all the things, it's the quality coming out of it is quite surprising. So there's obviously a lot of funding behind it. But yeah, I'm very excited to jump in. It is probably one of my most anticipated games for next year. And my excitement for it just seems to have gone up. But there's been quite a few developer reveals, almost too much is my feeling. So I'm like, I'm not watching anything else. I don't even care if you do a stream. I'm not watching it because I want that moment of like discovery. I don't want to know what's coming. You know what I mean? So I want to go in more blind to it. But I did watch one of them because I was a bit like, I'm not sure about that combat and how you use the magic and everything. But actually, what I've seen, it looks quite good and quite easy to use and then like intuitive. Yeah, I get to make potions and like ride a hippogriff and stuff. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. So that's one of my most anticipated games this year. So that's a nice way to finish it then. We are at 50 minutes.
Magic.
Always happens. So anyway, just want to say a massive thank you, obviously, Fish, Dante, for joining me again this year to do these end of year reviews. I always enjoy just getting insight into what games we enjoyed and our highlights of the year. Obviously, let us know what you guys thought in the comment section below. Are there any games that you would add on to your best games of the year list? Please do share those. Any games that we've talked about, if you've played them, share those too. Don't forget to support the channel by liking, commenting, subscribing. Of course, special shout out to my Patreons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, going the extra mile. You guys are awesome. It's really appreciated. Have a great new year, everybody. We'll be back again with our less excited happy video, which is the biggest disappointments of 2022. So look forward to that, maybe. And yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Take care, everybody. And as always, happy gaming.
Bye.
Bye,
Johnny.
guys. We should go.